Hi everyone, welcome in. So, for weeks I promised I would do an ability tier list video, and I thought that it would be a phenomenal opportunity to bring on one of the fastest growing creators and one of the best players in the game, in my man Eki. So, Eki, thank you for hopping on and making this video today, man.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man. So today, what we're gonna do, guys, is this is specifically for 1v1, and I think that the reason why I wanted to get Eki was he represents a very small section of the community in terms of the 1% of the 1%. And I am a much more not as good player. So it kind of get a varying range. And what we did was we made a tier list of all of the abilities, and we didn't show each other before the video, and now we're just going to see. So there was no collaboration beforehand, so it'll be interesting to see whose is different or how much ours are different. So I think first, man, let's discuss, because it isn't mentioned in here, goalie abilities in HUT.
Yeah.
Is there any that you would even consider this year?
No, I wouldn't use any. A couple years ago, post to post was really good, but I haven't really tried any this year. Butterfly effect and post to post is maybe worth trying if you have a goalie with it, but I wouldn't use it.
Yep. And I also, so I'm in the same agreement. Goalies are just basically a representation of how you play defense. They are never going to win you games. So the other thing I want to mention is this is for HUT, not World of Shell, and it is right before the patch. So the patch is buffing two of the lesser used ones, I think, in Heatseeker and Thunderclap. So this is a representation of prior to that. So that is just want to lay that out. All right. And last thing, I want to talk about your philosophy with abilities. Do you spread it out, or do you hyper load your first line D pair and offense?
I usually run all of my abilities on my top 6 forwards and top 4 defensemen. I rarely use any abilities in my third and fourth line. I have one example which we will probably talk about later, but mostly on my top players.
Oh, I'm in the exact same boat as I'm in the exact same thought process as you there. Okay, so let's get into it. First, we're going to start with. We're not going to really touch on these. We're just going to basically say these are the worst, and we're just going to would not activate in any circumstance. It's kind of a lengthy list because there's a lot of X factors that are either meant for online or I guess magnetic is a little bit more useful for World of Shell, or at least it used to be. But I'll lay it all. We'll go through all the ones. So I had Skilled Up, so the breakaway one, Crease Crasher, Ice Pack, It's Tricky, Magnetic, Relentless, Thunderclap prior to the patch, Third Eye, Spinorama, Tape to Tape, and Shock and Awe. So those are the ones for me, which I think that are just a complete avoid, as well as Send It and Yoink. You had almost the exact same. You also have Total Eclipse. Next, we'll move on to the bad. So these are the ones that they do have an instance in which they can be used. You've got In Reverse, Thunderclap, Ankle Breaker, Shock and Awe, It's Tricky, Heat Seeker, and Skilled Up. Go through those ones for me real quick and why they're in that section.
Those are abilities I would never really use in HUT, but those are abilities that I find that you can use in certain situations. I'm not going through them one by one, but they're all like not great but usable.
Will you try Heat Seeker since the patch? I'm curious if it'll matter.
My X Factor Makar has it, so maybe, but I'm really high on the gold abilities, so I doubt it.
So you only go gold abilities, no silvers?
Not only gold abilities, but I usually try to stack on gold abilities, especially when we go higher up, like Unstoppable Force Elite Edges. I usually like to run as gold.
Okay, perfect. So in my bad tier, I had essentially all of the same. I'm just trying to see if there's any that you have Puck on a String. So I have Puck on a String is in like the bad tier. You've got it up in the good tier. Explain to me why you enjoy Puck on a String.
I think it makes your players digging much higher.
Are you talking about the actual moves or going left and right, like sticking?
Yeah, going left and right on your right stick. That's what Puck on a String affects, and I've actually really liked it on some of my players, and it doesn't cost as much as well. I would have it maybe somewhere between the okay and good tier. It's not an ability. If my team is stacked, I would use, but if I have ability points I need to spend, Puck on a String is an ability I would use.
Okay. And the only difference we have there? Actually, no, we're pretty much across the board there. Other than that one, so now into the OK tier. You've got no contest, born leader, big tipper, stick 'em up, close quarters, back at you, quick pick, quick pick, seeing eye, snipe, and tape to tape. I've got and what are the major differences? I have in my OK tier, I have backhand beauty. You've got backhand beauty is very good. Give me the instance and where you notice that the most.
So I have the X Factor Crosby, and I love the
it's always
backhand. I think you can score a lot with it, and cost is a huge factor.
It's
why
very
I have
cheap.
it on very good. Yeah, it's one ability point as silver to activate, 2 as gold. I will run it on Crosby the whole year just because how cheap it is, and I think on breakaways, on opportunities close to the net, I love the backhand.
Okay, perfect. We've got make it snappy. I don't notice it, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't notice make it snappy or snipe really. Maybe snipe a little bit more. Is there an instance or a player that you has make it snappy that you do something different than what you normally would that you find it works more?
No, I just think make it snappy when you actually do a snapshot. I really think the shot is a lot more powerful. I think that's the issue with close quarters this year. Last year it was really good, but this year, like you said, with make it snappy, I don't notice close quarters at all. I've had close quarters as silver, as gold, and I don't really notice any difference in it. That's why I have it on the OK tier. Make it snappy, I think it's a bit better. That's why I have it higher. But again, it's kind of like a puck on a string for me. I wouldn't necessarily use it, but if I need to use my ability point somewhere, I could use it.
Okay. One of the biggest differences is you have born leader in the OK. I have it as an S tier ability.
Yeah.
So so the reason why I'll explain why I have it as an S tier ability first, I guess. Simply because of the hitting. So it got a buff this year where you will get energy for your team off of big hits and blocks as opposed to just goals. And I find that because hitting was very arcadey, at least before the patch and things like that, that I was hitting more than ever. And I just found that to be the reason why it was so impactful, but you don't find it to be that useful?
I just think in hot, especially if you have a good team, I at least have 4 lines I love to play with, and especially when GWC rolls around, I have 4 good lines. I don't really need the energy buffs personally. It's a lot better this year. Like you said, I think blocked shots give you a boost as well. But it's an ability I haven't really used. That's why I put it in OK. I completely get having it in the highest tier if you want to really stack and play your top lines together like all the time. But
I think this might be like one of the bigger differences from someone who has like you have an extremely good team. And you make a good point that like if you have good endurance and good players in every line, you don't really necessarily need your top lines to always be out there. So that might make a little bit of sense there. The other bigger differences now, just taking a look in terms of the good abilities. So these are the ones that we have listed in the good tier. You have puck on a string, like you mentioned, backhand beauty, make it snappy, and 1T. 1T this year is actually, I used to only like it on defensemen. I find it expensive and hard to put on a winger because the winger has to be in a specific situation. But are you finding that you still score with it a lot?
Yeah, and the reason I have 1T pretty high is that it's the only ability. It's the only way to score one-timers farther away this year.
Sucks,
having
I miss
1T ability.
I miss one-timers. Like just that. Like I get that everyone it was the only way to score for a decade. But like if you set up a one-timer in the NHL and get someone that goes down to a knee and just rifles one, it should go in.
Yeah, exactly, and it's realistic. Goalies in real life are not saving like one-timers from Ovechkin all the time from farther away. It's just not happening.
You're not
but
wrong there.
Actually, I'm running 1T on my X Factor Ovi, who I have in my third line, but I'm running him in my first power play unit.
Okay.
So, because he gets a lot of 1T opportunities there, and I score a lot of goals with Ovi with the 1T that I would never score with any other player. That's why I have it as good, and I will probably, if I run Ovi in my GWC squad, I will probably have 1T on him the whole year.
Okay, that makes that's honestly like in terms of like what we have is the best abilities. Let's talk about those because these are the ones that people are going to want to know about the most, and we're almost identical. Like so, I have born leader. You have backhand beauty a little bit higher. But walk me through what you think are the best abilities, including wheels.
Yeah. So this year, first of all, Stick 'em Up was my favorite ability this year. I think it's highly nerfed.
100%. Only on big players, in my opinion. Like if you have a long reach, I think Stick 'em Up has a little bit more play. But if you're like 6 foot or 6'1" and below, I noticed that when you poach check it, like they just get it back.
Yeah, exactly. So shutdown kind of replaces Dig 'em Up for me. I think it helps with pokes and with hitting. So I think it's the best defensive ability this year. Truculence also with hits is insane, and my favorite ability in the game is Unstoppable Force. Cold Unstoppable Force. Last year was my favorite ability as well. It is this year, dude. I have Jaeger with Cold Unstoppable Force. It's absolutely nuts. You can't get the puck of him. And later on in the year, when there will probably be faster players with it, I will run it as much as I can. Elite just makes your guy turn so much quicker. I think it has to be in the best tier. And quick draw I think face-offs, especially in competitive play, are really, really important. And you notice this year right now, everybody has that Joe Nguyen. It sucks to go up against him if you don't have him going up against him. So
I'm so happy that you say quick draw because it's like something I talk about in all my videos, but people just are like, man, you don't need to have that. Like it doesn't, man. Thank you. All right, so the quick draw, 100%. If you are good at the counters and have gold quick draw, you will rarely ever lose a draw, if ever.
And how many important situations come down to face-offs, like an offensive zone face-off, 10 seconds to go, or a defensive zone face-off, or a penalty kill, or a power play. Especially in competitive games, those are massive face-offs to actually win.
Now you mentioned that this is one I'm curious about. So I stack my top lines, but I'll have like Keisher or I like some other like third line center. I'm okay with silver quick draw on my lower line.
Yeah, I don't really. Me personally, I've always been fine with one quick draw player.
Same.
And then and not anything else. So if I have that quick draw player, then I will just.
So you're saying just one is fine. That's it.
Yeah, and just make sure you run him in your special teams, so you can actually put him in the ice when it matters.
Okay, love that. Elite edges, something that I've noticed over the years now, since we've had X Factors for 3 years, is that elite edges, as the year goes along, in my opinion, gets less effective, and I think it's because everyone gets really high agility as the year goes along. Like at the beginning of the game, elite edges is far and away one of the best because everyone has lower skating, but elite edges just jacks up the agility rating so high for your players, and they can keep all of their speed. Do you find it to be one of the best abilities at the end game as well, or do you think that it becomes less effective?
I actually agree with you on that. Later on in the year, it's not as useful. It's still useful, but not at the same level.
At the
I actually
cost
find
too, because it becomes very expensive near the end.
Yeah, I find wheels the same later on in the year. I don't find it to be as effective, and a reason I have it at very good, not at the best tier, it's because it costs 10 ability points. It's really nuts, especially end game. I wouldn't really use wheels.
I've got kind of a rule of thumb with wheels because you're basically, it's like 1/5 of your ability points. Is if it is not on the fastest card in the game or one of them, it's kind of pointless because like you know what I mean. So like McDavid, or Makar, I get. Like, would you ever put wheels on a defenseman?
I tried the new Or with it. I actually loved him with it, but I put it off after a while. Yeah, I think there's better abilities to spend your points on.
100%. Do you think elite edges on a defenseman is useful?
Yes, I love elite edges on a defenseman. I think it helps defensively with turning and just breaking up the puck.
I'm gonna try and ask some other questions that I think the community will have about certain abilities. So now that I have you, so truculence on forwards.
Ooh, not as useful as defenders. I have Gordie Howe with truculence, but I don't think later on he really needs it. Maybe on the PK it's good that he has it, but I would probably use those points on somewhere else.
Have you been utilizing reverse checking? And back at you. Mentioned Gordie Howe.
No, I'm
stunned. I'm stunned, bro. You're kind of like the min max using all of the mechanics. It's become. I thought that when it came out in August or whenever we got to test it, I don't know what it was. That was like the first thing, and the community just does not use it. I think they got so annoyed because they couldn't shoot, like it would interrupt their slap shots.
Yeah,
that everyone's just like, I'm not doing it.
I agree with you, and I know it's really useful. And when people use it against me, I'm pissed. But I'm not like it's such a new thing. I've never really gotten the hang of it to when to use it and when to not. But I always say to people that you need to learn how to use it.
Yeah,
it's the same for me as well.
It's funny, even on like my podcast, like the Padre and Papa, they're both like, yeah, man, we're just stuck in our ways. But Papa kind of only uses it now. Like he loves it, and I watched his streams, and he kind of recommended Gordie Howe, and now I saw a lot of people in the comments reversing it. And yeah, I just think that it could be a little bit more effective. I think as the year goes along, I'll be curious.
Yeah.
Shutdown. You mentioned Shutdown is. I almost think it's better than Truculence this year, but because it activates, it says off the rush, but like you can just be in your own zone, and it'll sometimes.
Yeah,
activate.
I feel like it activates everywhere.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I like, you know what I mean? But like Truculence is 100% of the time, but Shutdown this year, just the way the game is played, I think is very impactful. That Kevin Lowe, the team builder card, I found to be really, really good with it. That's about it. What do you...
our lists were pretty similar.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're similar because I don't feel like an idiot. So that was like, we're gonna come on here and they're gonna be completely different. Is there an ability or a card that is a little bit more obscure or random that you're finding that a lot of people aren't using? Maybe like give me your top 6 and what the abilities.
Okay, so my top 6 is Lemio, X Factor Crosby, and Jager. Second line is Gordie Howe, Nuendijk, and Robitaille. I think I have Lemio. I'm running with Unstoppable Force or nothing.
Yep.
Usually most times. Crosby I have with Unstoppable Force and Beauty Backhand. Jager I have with Gold Unstoppable Force. So I have 2 gold unstoppable forces. Yeah, two gold unstoppable forces on my first line. And if I want to, I'll have it on Lemio as well.
Yep.
And you can't get the puck of those guys.
Yep.
Second line, I have Gold Truculence on Howe, Gold Quick Draw, Nuendijk, and Robitaille with nothing.
Yeah, it's funny because like close quarters nerf this year. I still think close quarters is impactful, but the cost is tough in this stage.
It's not worth the cost. And I've actually just today was the last time I've tried close quarters. I put it on sometimes on Robitaille or Lemio, but the 1-2 chances I miss with it being up close.
Yeah, that's enough.
After that, I just think why have this on with the points. So.
Okay, so now let's talk about your defenseman. Give me your defenseman and what you're running on them.
Yeah, my D-man actually just changed, but right now I have Leech and X Factor Makar, and then Quinn Hughes and Brisbois. I have Gold Elite Edges on Makar, nothing on Leech at the moment. He has Silver Elite Edges as well, which I run sometimes. I have Gold Truculence on Brisbois, just...
he's the best card.
Awesome.
He's the best defenseman, man.
Best defensive defenseman for sure.
I think he is gonna be hard to replace. I think him and Nuendijk will be.
Yeah. And Quinn Hughes might have had Silver Elite Edges as well.
So you're running a lot of Elite Edges on the back end.
Yeah, I am. But at the same time, right now in the game, I feel like there's so many players with abilities I could actually switch. There's just not that many players in my team that I want more Unstoppable Forces actually.
It's so funny that you want, yeah.
Yeah.
It is by far like the most impactful, especially at the high end, because holding onto the puck is really the thing that I feel like in division like 3 and below, it's just end to end the whole time.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, especially this year when with the hitting being so good.
Yeah.
I think Unstoppable Force makes even more of a difference.
I agree. And then at the Division 1, it's legitimately getting into the zone and then holding on to it as hard as you can until you kind of get that chances. And Unstoppable Force gives you that like extra ability to hold on.
Yeah, especially with the pressure system.
Let's get me before we go, let's get your overall thoughts on NHL 24 compared to 23.
Okay, well, I can compare it to 23 and 22 as well. I didn't really like both of those prior games, especially 23. Became really repetitive for me later on in the year. Felt like everybody in the GWC played the exact same, went behind the net, looked for the same glitch goals, whatever, because nothing was patched the whole year.
Yep.
I think this year it's much better that they're patching stuff already. I've actually kind of enjoyed the game. Maybe a little less after the latest patch when they took away the glitch goals. I like them taking away the glitch goals, but I just think scoring right now.
Competitively, the skill gap is yes.
Yeah, not even that, but just how repetitive scoring starts to feel again. It's back post one-timers close to the net, it's backhand on breakaways, it's low shots and tips, and I feel like nothing really besides that is going in, so...
We'll see what happens with this tuner. I'm like, man...
Before the patch, when they took away the glitch goals, at least with the glitch goals, there was many ways to score from different areas, but not really the same anymore. I would want there to be a lot of variety in scoring, but just have it legit. So if I'm in the middle with Lemieux and I'm shooting it from a good chance, it should go in most of the time, in my opinion. But right now, I feel like the goalies are saving everything, same with the farther away one timers, etc.
I agree as well because and it's funny because EA wouldn't make a big adjustment to offense and nerfing goaltenders as a whole if they aren't seeing, because they can like see how many goals are being like as a whole from the player base. So my guess is that after the latest patch, that goal score was way down, and yeah, so we'll see how that. Are you do you like the interference on the back door to kind of counter the forced cross crease?
I do. I actually do. I don't know if it's really realistic, but I think it's a good way to counter forced cross creases because those are really tough to just intercept.
That's exactly it. It's a terrible hockey play because that's interference, but it's like a way for the counter the garbage that like just forcing it through 4 people because the intercepts aren't happening. So hopefully the intercepts just happen and then interference can happen again. But it's an interesting counter, man. Well, I want to thank you for hopping on and doing this. I hope this helps out with some people in the community that are a little unaware about what abilities to use and how to use it. I hope we gave a wide variety in terms of, again, skill level, because there's a big wide distance here. And I'm excited. I'm gonna see you this year again, I'm sure, bro. I think we've seen each other like 10 times, probably, quite a bit.
Yeah, in tournaments, mostly, and events.
I'm excited, man. So good luck and keep up the good work and the content, my man.
Yeah, thank you. You too.